also got Samie here with us. And this is going to be a very interesting discussion on conscious leadership. And we are extremely honored and extremely privileged with all our wonderful guests who've come in today. And we want to start on time because it's very important. Sameera, over to you.
Yes, welcome to the S Factor. And this show is all about deliberating and discussing with thought leaders on various initiatives that are really taking center stage in a world that is filled with disruptions. But I should tell you that, sometimes in life, things disrupt for the better. And these are like positive disruptions which make a difference in our world. And I think that is what is happening at the moment. We are in a world and redefining success, redefining everything that is important in our lives. And as we say that, we have very three notable, eminent personalities with us today. And may I request my co host, Shekhar Vijayan, to do the introductions?
Thank you, Sameera. Thank you so much for that warm note and that inspirational note. I've got, like I said, we've got some very interesting people here, and I want to start with Mr. Bhaskar. So before I start, I have to tell you this, sir. One of your friends called me up and told me it's really nice to know that Mr. Bhaskar is coming on your show. His name is Satya Sankaran, and he's a bicycle mayor. I think Bhaskar sir's screen is frozen, I think, as we talk. But then still we'll continue. So as we talk, Mr. Bhaskar Rao is a 1990 batch Indian police officer who served as the Commissioner of Bangalore City Police from 2nd August 2019 to 1st August 2020. He comes from Bangalore and was previously Additional Director General of Police in the Karnataka State Reserve Police as well as ADGP, Internal Security Division. His personal interests include long distance running and cross-country cycling. Currently, Bhaskar sir is serving as the ADGP Railways. A warm welcome to Mr. Bhaskar Rao.
Thank you so much.
We're very honored and privileged that you're there in this very interesting show.
Thanks, Sameera. Thanks, Sridhar. And nice to see I am.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. We've also got Ian Faria, sir, who's one of the tallest men I've ever met. And sir is a master coach who's adept at guiding and motivating leaders to find and manifest the greatness. He started and successfully run business enterprises for more than 20 years. He's a distinguished Toastmaster, founder chairman of the Toastmasters Territorial Council of South Asia, and winner of the Toastmaster International Taped Speech Contest 2001, and the only Indian to receive the presidential citation in 2006. He's currently the founder and managing partner at Solution Z based in Bangalore. Sir, a warm welcome to you. He's a known face all across Bangalore, I would say all across the world. Extremely inspirational, extremely positive, extremely passionate, and an extremely nice person. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Shekhar. Thank you so much, and happy to be on the show. Sameera, thank you for the invite.
Thank you, Ian, and wonderful having you here as well. It is also with proud honor that we welcome my close friend now, Samie Al-Achrafi, who is not just an award-winning speaker or podcaster, but I think he is someone who really redefines what humanity is all about, and not just by walking the talk only, but by also promoting to the world. They say it is important to act, and actions are, what we think about. But I think he has gone a step forward, not just to preach, not just to walk, not just to action it out, but to spread humanity to the world. Apart from that, he is also one of the world's leading voices when it comes to values and cultural change. Won a lot of accolades, starting with the most visionary business transformation CEO, game changer of the year, and influential CEO of the year. He is currently the founder and CEO of Marmalade Fish, a management consulting company based in downtown Dubai as well. So, a warm welcome to all of you here at our show. But before we move forward, I would also like to thank our supporters and our partners. We have the live streaming from the Redemptress Media Center. We also have it from News Karnataka, who have come all the way. We have people from over 20 countries who are watching us right now as we speak, irrespective of the time zones. And most importantly, our warm wishes and thanks to Ecosol Global, Chevins Entertainment, Jagrati Education, Boopalam Botanicals, Dew Dupont, I Am Here, Elephant Marketing, Sunshine Bakers, IJ Enablers, Peppercoin, Cicada Media, Redworks, and eTransform. Over to you, Shekhar.
Yeah, Sameera. So I think you've given us a nice introduction and given us a nice flavor of what the show is all about. And we are talking about conscious leadership here. And once again, a warm welcome to all our guests and to all our partners on this very exciting show. Uh, this is a question to all the leaders, and we can start with any one of them because I believe they're visionaries for a reason. And the question is very simple. Uh, a leader becomes radically responsible, self-aware, and focuses on building a culture of we rather than a culture of me. What are your thoughts? Samie, we could start with you.
I think it's a great question because initially, when I started working with values and culture change, I went around the world speaking to leaders. And in my book, I talk about we are all leaders if you go by the definition of anybody who is willing to step up or to lean into change, rather than the maybe unhelpful definition some of us have that leadership happens in your mid-30s or early 40s and is dependent on your title. But wherever I went in the world, it seemed like the problem was somebody else. The person would say, it's not me, it's my line manager. And then I would go to the line manager and they would say, it's not the country problem, it's the region. So then I would travel to the region and we say, it's not us, it's group. And I've gone around the world for the last 22 years trying to find out, well, who is it? And so my sense is, if we're going to make that transition from me to we, step number one is to turn that periscope around. Look at yourself. They say, do you? And I say, do you, be you, for you. And then once you've done your work, then you will be able to step into that morality of me to we. Compassion starts with self. Then it goes to the people who we love. And only then can it go to everybody. And I see many people on social media with great intention trying to sort these huge, big problems in the world. And I wonder sometimes, what would it look like if we just focused on loving our family or focusing on ourselves, being more resourceful and conscious in getting through the week? Then I think we would achieve some of the culture change and address some of the world issues that are so prevalent today.
And that explains why your hashtag is Time for Humanity.
Exactly. It is time now, and it's been a long time, but I think we have a window of a few years to think about how nature, humanity, and AI, we can all thrive together. The time is now.
Thank you so much. Jan, sir, we would love your perspective on this.
Sure. I think this question has been well framed. Today's world, we can't really manage on our own. It's not a one-person world. And the time is gone when, everything was given to the leader. In fact, in some companies, the leader earns about 100 times what the average person in the company does. But I think those days are over. People realize today that it's the team that does the work. And the leadership is not really that important. And we've understood that now from the pandemic times. Because now even teams who are working remotely across the globe without even having a leader in place are delivering, because each one is scared of their job.
Correct.
So I'm actually in the process of publishing a book on leadership post-COVID, and it's an India-centric leadership book. And one of the things that I'm covering is that you have to be inclusive. You have to take the whole team along. Decision-making also has to become multidimensional. You can't just take unilateral decisions anymore. Enough of the big leaders, tall leaders, including Jack Welch, have made major decisions, and some of them were really erroneous. So today it's the time for a we kind of group think, group action, and I don't think the I leader will work anymore. I think it has to be we, all of us are leaders. And I reflect what Samie just said. It's really nice, all of us are used to passing the buck. Now, when all of us take a decision, where's the buck to pass? So I feel time has come for we leadership. And brilliant question. Thank you so much, Shekhar.
Thank you so much. We also got Bhaskar also who just joined us. So I think you had some connection problems. So if you can hear me clearly, so the question was, leader becomes radically responsible, self-aware and focuses on building a culture of we rather than a culture of me. So we would love to know your perspective on this.
See, the unprecedented situation calls for unprecedented reactions. Normally, what happens is that a leader is watched by a lot of people, and all those who are watching are not his admirers. Most of them are his bitter critics, extremely judgmental, and many of them are waiting for him to collapse. So, at that point of time, conscious or collaborative leadership is extremely important. One such situation, I had rather the fortune or the misfortune, or the great example was last year when I was Commissioner of Police, where my learning curve was extremely steep. And the one and only reaction I knew was that before you react, think 1,000 times before you react, because everybody is watching you. And especially when you are in a responsible position where you're talking, speaking, or acting can have repercussions, think more. And this was a time where I was not just the boss. I had a lot of visible bosses and a lot of invisible bosses. This conscious leadership, which you are saying, came to my rescue. Because despite having so many bosses around, you finally are held responsible for something that goes wrong. And you are micro-judged, not micromanaged. You are micro-judged, micro-evaluated, and micro-slaughtered also over there. So at this point of time, I have learned that the first aspect of leadership is that I should be visible to all my people, and listen before reacting.
That's right, sir.
And the third thing is that trust the judgment of my subordinates. Though they will commit blunders, I have to stand by them, because that is not the time to be judgmental. And I have to be conscious of the entire situation, not the blunders committed by small people over there. If a blunder committed by a small people can be covered up by all of us, there is no point in wasting time in yelling at him or shouting at him or trying to correct him or teach him over there. The rest of the collective should take over to see that it is ameliorated over there. Then the fourth point is, in conscious leadership, I have seen that it has to be extremely collaborative, because in a new situation like this, as Anne was pointing out, I could hear him. Nobody knows how to react, but everybody wants to be relevant also.
Correct.
And in the quest of becoming relevant, people end up making mistakes or other saying inappropriate things. And there are a lot of people who may not be able to do something important, but they will be quick to react to irrelevant things and make their relevance. So we have to be very careful of such kind of people over there. And such kind of people are plenty in number, because they are the ones who are ready to pull you down over there. So when you are in a position where all the spotlights are on you, and you don't even know how others are reacting, because everybody is in the dark and everybody can see you and you can't see anybody. But suddenly you can only feel your collapse, just that's all. Your imminent collapse you see over there. So what I learned was that everybody needs to be taken along. There is no me or I, as Anne pointed out over there. And this is the time when I had to tell my 21,000 constables that you are the Commissioner of Police.
Correct.
You have to decide, because he is the man behind the barricade. He is the man who is sending people home. He is the man deciding people's difficulties, people's grievances over there. Every time they can't appeal to a higher level or come up to me, because their decisions are their action. And a city like Bangalore, about 1.5 crore people, we used to plan for days to have a single day band. And when you have to have a continuous band, imagine the kind of logistics nightmare that we need to go through. And more than the city, we have to plan the people who are below us or other who report to us. So conscious leadership is what I call as handling emotions of my own subordinates over there, then controlling and managing my own emotions over there, managing the emotions of my peers who are extremely judgmental, managing the peer emotions of my bosses who are themselves being judged by their bosses sitting in Delhi, or the media, or the people, or social media. So it is arrows and arrows from all directions, and you have to keep ducking over there. And if you put on a very stern face, and if you put on a very hard thing, you will be the first to be hit over there. Acknowledge mistakes very, very gracefully and boldly during this time, because nobody is expecting you to be perfect, because everybody is going through a very difficult time over there. So these are just a few of my reactions. I'm sure a lot of others have got a lot to contribute. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I must tell you this, not just Bangalore, but the entire India loves you for the kind of work you did last year, sir, and even now as we talk. Sir,
Thank you, sir.
while we lost you a bit earlier, I have to tell you this, sir. One of your friends, Satya Sankran, had called me and told me that it's nice to know that Bhaskar was coming on your show. I had done a show with Satya Sankran, I think a couple of years back, where you had come in, and I know you're an avid cyclist, sir. So I think we are honored to have you on this show. Thank you so much.
As regards cycling is concerned, I must quickly tell this to you. We did 2 major rides in Karnataka. We brought our men cyclists from Bidar to Bangalore, covering all the districts, 1750 kilometers. And we decided to be totally independent. We never wanted to depend on local police. And this was Karnataka State Reserve Police, which I was heading. And I was heading at a time when the number of suicides were very high, depressions were very high, and divorces were very high, and parental abuse was very high amongst us. Abuse of children was very high. So we had to bring about a family situation. So the best way is face a bigger challenge than the small challenges that you are facing over there. So we did the cycling, and the next cycling which we did was for only women from Belgaum to Bangalore, in which my wife also participated, and we had 4 women IAS officers also participated. So that is briefly cycling. The rest of the cycling we can discuss offline. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Sameera, over to you.
Yes, I think that was really wonderful to hear that, so much is being done to combat certain prevailing challenges that our community currently faces. And keeping that in mind, with the current situation, the new normal, my question to you all is, leadership has now taken a new path of its own. We're looking at collaborative leadership, we're looking at participative, we're looking at inspirational leadership, which you all are known for. But what, according to you, works in the prevailing situation? Keeping in mind the barrage of external influences, internal influences, like what Mr. Bhaskar Rao just now said. Apart from him doing his job, he has so many other things that he needs to look at the same time. So my question to you is, from your perspective, what works? What really does work? And I would like to start by asking Samie, can you address this, please?
Thank you. I think it's a build on what Bhaskar Rao sir just said. In the old days, there was a perception that leadership was about having opinions. And in transactional analysis, there is a parent, adult, child. And the dynamic I saw was very parent-child. Leader believed he or she needed to give opinions by nature of a role, and the employee looked up to the leader in order to receive their opinions. But the world has changed, and this unhelpful parent-child dynamic in leadership is shifting to what we call adult-adult. And what's working particularly well in these times are leaders who are adopting a stance more of a facilitator guide. We're all heading towards a destination which is bigger than us. Before, we might have been inclined to push people forwards or sometimes drag people with us, but we're moving the dynamic to standing by people and as a facilitator, coach, guide on the journey, pulling more than pushing, asking for insights, as was mentioned, creating a little bit of space between what we call stimulus and response. Typically in the old days, stimulus or trigger would produce a reaction. And now what we're realizing is, instead of reacting, there is a space that exists between those concepts. And then we can choose our response. Responsibility is the ability to choose a response. If you ask questions, does anyone have anything to say? Maybe somebody will have the courage to speak up. Any questions? Maybe. But what if we were to reframe as leaders our questions to, who has a different perspective? You actively hold space for divergent thinking. What support do you need from me? When you ask those power questions, people start to step into their power, and that's how you become more successful. In the book, I have a chapter, Conscious Leadership in a Global World, and I describe 5 characteristics. There are more, but from my experience, all conscious leaders demonstrate collaboration, a good level of self-awareness, they have empathy, global curiosity, and then they move to alignment. And alignment does not mean everybody agreeing. Alignment is linking to the values and purpose. It's the big stuff where people will choose to step with you on the journey.
Thank you, Samie. Sameera, you're on mute.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
And
Yeah?
now,
Yeah, Samie, I think what you did is summarize the true essence of conscious leadership. And wonderful to know that this has taken precedence already through your book and you have addressed this. Well, I would like to now ask Ian. Ian, let's start with the Bangalore community. You're so active, participatory. You are a magnet to everyone who is looking at a positive influence in their life. I've been really privileged to be a part of your groups and channels, and everything that I see there is a wake up call to all those around you where you're really spearheading positive change. So I just want to ask you, Ian, being a true leader and a role model for the community at large, where do you see the challenges in the current system? And what are the top areas that you need to obviously address? Over to you.
Sure. Thanks very much, Sameera. That was a brilliantly framed question again. I'm going to lead off from where Bhaskar Rao actually left us. Even a person of his caliber, his stature, as the commissioner of police, has to think, what are people going to say? What are my peers going to think? What are my bosses going to think? And let me tell you, one cannot function in this post-pandemic world with fear. And therefore, proactively, I started this whole thing of, let's start to build positivity. Let's start to build a feeling of confidence that, we can do it. And this is where I come from. I'm saying, if that fear is not removed, our decision-making is going to be flawed. Fear operates from the reptilian brain, the earliest primal brain of ours, but our decision-making is from our highest brain. It's from the primate brain. So we have to start to change things. And collaboration also happens from the mammalian brain into the primate brain or the logical brain. You have to bring in both these higher brains into play. And that will happen only when we trust each other, when we are not fearful that somebody is going to judge us. And I think we have to empower people. I loved what Bhaskar Rao said. He said, even his constables were told, think like a commissioner. In the corporate world, we say, think like your owner. When I walk into a company like Cisco, I don't think I'm an external vendor. I think I'm the owner of it. I think I'm Chuck Roberts. What's the problem? It's a mindset issue. So you have to now start to expand mind space, and you have to be able to take those decisions. I have a lot of attributes of leadership, which I'm talking about in my book, but I'm going to say this. If you're not positive in your decision-making, all of life is going to look negative to you, and you're always going to look for flaws, people to blame, making excuses, and that will not cut ice in today's world. So we have to be able to take responsibility, and some things are going to go wrong. Learn from that, fail fast, move on to the next thing. That's what I would like to say.
Wonderful, very inspiring. And let me now move on to Mr. Bhaskar Rao. As the former police commissioner, what we really love about you is you have let people, take charge along with you, giving them responsibilities, accountability, making them involved, grooming them into potential leaders. My question to you is, what has been your experience in doing that? Has it backtracked you in any way, or do you feel that you've been able to take people forward with a similar mindset? What are the pros and cons of creating such an atmosphere of leadership? Uh, Also keeping in mind conscious leadership.
Thank
Is
you.
that the future of thinking?
Sameera, there is a saying in Bhagavad Gita, Dhairyam Sarvatra Sadhanam, courage achieves everything. So what I told earlier, in pursuance of what you have asked now, and as what Anne also mentioned, see, if there is no courage, there cannot be any action, and if there is no action, there is less of positivity. Otherwise, you become fatalistic and start accepting things the way it is being thrown at you. Given such a situation, you have to first show extreme courage, because results have to come only from you. Results cannot come from invisible bosses or hidden bosses who only are there to take credit and who are ready to slaughter you. And there are a lot of other people who are waiting to take your position and say that I can do a better job over here. So such is the condition over there. Here, in collaborating, you have to make a lion out of a goat and tell him that, yes, you can do it. You go ahead. I'm there behind you. Come whatever, I will take care of your mistakes. You go ahead, you charge, I'm with you. And I have to genuinely be behind him. Number of times I have seen my people have overreacted to a situation, though I keep telling them, don't overreact. But in their quest to bring a situation under their control or to bring things to normalcy, they end up overreacting over there. And all that overreacting is also in public interest. So I know that as long as there is no personal agenda in overreacting, yes, our people have overreacted. They have beaten up people over there. They have been high-handed. But when you listen to the other story, because the media tells you a story where the police have wronged someone terribly, but you look back and see that they have been provoked to behave like that. I know it is wrong. I know 100% at my personal level, I know it is wrong. But if I let him down, all his peers are watching how I react to this. So if I punish him publicly, I am sending a message to everyone not to be courageous, not to be bold. So I have to tell him in the four corners of my room, I have to give him a dressing down, but outside I have to tell him what a bold guy he is and what a fantastic job he has done over there. Because I cannot run the show, because I am a person who is here to ensure negativity, controlling or other restricting, but I have to do it in a positive way. The negative things, we have to do it in a positive way. So this is where we end up. And as you asked me, what are the pros and cons? Sometimes what happens is that in one set of leadership, you build so much of courage. If there is change of leadership, if that person again starts behaving like that, the other leader may not appreciate. There is every likelihood that he may get into a problem, because most often I have seen both within the police and outside, people like to be surrounded by those who give them confidence. Instead of a leader giving confidence to others, the subordinates end up giving confidence. Sir, what a great guy you are. You look so nice. You are so good. And a lot of people want that. Binu pani, binu sabna will keep critics around you, they will keep washing you. Binu pani, binu sabna, without sabun and without water, they will clean over there. So it needs a lot of moral, mental strength to have critics around you. Yes, we love to have people. Once in a way, it is nice to be appreciated. But when you're sitting on a leadership pedestal over there, everybody wants to talk sweet to you, and they are misleading you. They are telling you, totally misleading you. And most leaders I have seen in my 32 years of professional life, politicians, businessmen, IAS officers, police officers, and subordinate officers have met their grave. You want to finish off somebody, do it so beautifully with appreciation that they will dig their own grave. Be careful of the man who keeps on appreciating you. Means you have to be very, very careful of that. So the conscious leader will always ensure that which is genuine appreciation and what is criticism. In fact, the more you're criticized, you respect that person much more over there. I value my critics more. What they say is that you need good friends to be successful, but you need very, very good, bitter critics to be more successful over there. Thank you.
That's a wonderful leadership lesson. I think that all of us tuned in here will remember forever. Thank you for sharing your experience and, most importantly, the perspective behind it. Well appreciated. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sameera. So this is a question for all three of you. And, I think in the last couple of years, we have seen that the silver lining in the cloud because of the pandemic has been the boundaries have got blurred. That's the reason why we're talking on a virtual platform like this. And, we can connect to anyone across any geography because of the virtual platforms. That's the silver lining. And also, I feel society has become very inclusive. And I want to give you a specific example here. I stay in a gated community here in Whitefield, and we wanted to get everybody vaccinated. In one day, we managed to vaccinate all 1,000 of us by coordinating with the hospital and getting it done. I feel there was a measure of inclusiveness here. And I think that's the way going forward as a society. We all have to be very inclusive. And I think it's very important. So how do we ensure that this culture is all pervasive and it goes on forever? Because we want this to happen not because of a pandemic, but we want this to be a way of life. I think if a country is inclusive, I think that is more important than than actually being a superpower. And I want, sir, we can start with Mr. Ian. So, sir, we would need your perspective on this, sir.
Yeah, I think this pandemic actually has been a teacher to us in more ways than one. It has taught us that, number one, we are not, as invincible as we thought we were. We thought we were the apex predator, but a small virus can bring you to your knees. It takes you out just like that. So you have to be careful. You have to wear your mask. You have to do all the processes. But what I have noticed in these times is even when the government didn't know what it was doing, even when, the doctors were at a loss for what to do next, how to treat this disease, because the variants are coming up faster than you can imagine. So what worked 2 months ago might not work today. Then the order of doing things. I mean, this has been chaotic in more ways than one. So one has to be nimble. One has to be aware that your agility thinking, I think, is one of the good new terms that is going to come out of this pandemic. Correct. We have to be able to change our thinking just like that, instantaneously. What worked yesterday might not work today. Let's change it. Correct. And I also think we need to also take our own personal decisions. If local resident welfare groups had not done too much, let me tell you, half of Bangalore would have been still struggling to get the vaccine. But now we have seen these things are going forward. Rotary is stepping in. So many work groups are stepping in to get things done. I know my daughter ran a team and they were getting hospital beds, oxygen cylinders. They were working 18 hours, 20 hours around the clock almost, to get these things done. The government can't help you. How much can it do? How much can the police force help you? How much can the doctors help you? So you have to now start to learn how to do your own stuff. And I think that time has come. And Bhaskar also is one of the visionaries. I'm telling you, he's also said he's going to train the watchmen in local areas to behave like the police force, because the police cannot be everywhere. It's just impossible. So when we have visionaries like him, no, we should just follow their lead, but we should do our own work. We can't expect him to do everything. We can't expect the chief minister to do everything. Come on, the time has come for us to take responsibility for our own city, and we have to start to lead in our own local area groups. On Level Road, we have a super group, let me tell you, and we do what has to be done. That's it. We don't wait for BBMP or somebody else to come in. We do what has to be done. And I think that's the new phase which is going to come out, where people power is going to be, on top of everything else.
Thank you, sir. You just gave us some new terms today about agility and people power. Hopefully they both combine together and become an Avenger of sorts. Samie, I would need your perspective on that Avenger note.
Well, as you might guess from my name, I'm half English and half Arabic. So I have a real sense of the difference between diversity and inclusion, because I moved from Abu Dhabi to the United Kingdom when I was 8.5 years old, halfway through a school term. And so when you think about diversity, yes, I have a diverse name. Yes, I was invited to participate in the school choir or the cricket team, but in Abu Dhabi, we don't play cricket. So I had no idea how to show up. And therefore, when my mom was given feedback that he's terrible at sports, that's the difference between diversity, where you are offered an opportunity to play, and actually having the inclusion where people can be understood and helped to show up. Or the choir, day one, sing away. I had no idea what they were doing. So it made me feel in the diversity even more excluded. So I think step one is absolutely we need to be respecting diversity. Question number two, but what does diversity of thought look like? You might have people who look diverse, but when you speak to the public, they say, they don't represent me, maybe due to class system or whatever reason. So I think this is deeper than sometimes we give thought to. I'm really grateful that we're having this conversation today. In my mind, culture is all about inclusion. Do I feel psychologically safe enough to be able to escape this unhelpful pattern of needing to fit in and trying to look good? If I do my work to address my personal ego, am I confident in the system that other people are going to do their work as well? If I'm able to examine my blind spots, at that stage, without judgment or consequence, people will start to speak up. And only then, when you have people comfortable to bring what I call their genius to the table, their talent, their uniqueness, is when you start to lead with humanity, which is conscious or inclusive leadership.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much. You gave us a very interesting perspective on it. Bhaskar, also, we would need your perspective too on this too.
Samie mentioned about diversity and inclusiveness. You know, Bangalore city is a huge city with 1.5 crore population. There's about 15 million population, and every state of India is represented here. And more than people from 50 countries are staying in Bangalore, carrying on their business over there. So there, in fact, if you out of Singapore, if you see in Asia, this is a place where you see a lot of diversity. And as the visible face of the government, the visible face of the government is the Commissioner of Police and his representatives, that is my additional commissioners and deputy commissioners and the police. We too have a very huge responsibility of understanding diversity. When we cannot at times appreciate within Karnataka how people are different from North Karnataka, South Karnataka, and coastal Karnataka. We have a huge task of appreciating the nuances of those people who are from Northeast, who are in huge numbers who work in Bangalore, people who are migrants from Chhattisgarh, Orissa, Bihar, and UP who are staying here, people who do not know the local language. So even during normal times, leadership has to be such that it has to be inclusive and very, very sensitive, because all people have needs. More so, I want to tell you, I don't know whether I'm treading into controversial waters by saying this. We have a huge number of illegal Bangladeshi migrants. They are not supposed to be staying here. They are illegal. But since they are staying here, we need to take care of their physical, mental, and emotional needs. And a lot of times what has happened is that since they have grown in numbers and they have a lot of crimes amongst themselves, they fear even coming to the police station. Saying, if I come to the police station, it will be known I'm a Bangladeshi, I will be deported, and they are threatened not to go to the police. So I have seen, and I openly mentioned that there is a huge amount of trafficking going amongst illegal migrants who are here. So we have to build a level of inclusiveness, like what Samie mentioned over there. See, when you build inclusiveness, sitting in the most powerful position, you have to make the other person feel comfortable. If I keep saying my doors are open, anybody can come and talk to me, and I got a ear for everybody. See, it is other person who has to feel that, not my saying that. When I say I love you, the person who is loved should feel that love, not me screaming and shouting, I love you, I love you. The other person should feel. Most often I have seen that as Commissioner of Police, nobody is afraid of me. Everybody could come and speak with me, but they are so scared of my additional commissioners, deputy commissioners, and inspectors over there. They said, no, sir, I can't talk to the inspector. I said, what do you mean? You mean to say I'm junior to my inspector? What you say? You are scared of your inspector? Aren't you scared of talking? So I can comfortably talk with you. So in conscious leadership, if you don't allow people whose voices cannot be heard anywhere, even if it is a corporate leadership also there, if you shut your mind, shut your ears, shut your eyes, ears, and shut your feelings, you are the one who is deprived. And whatever strategic growth path or investment or planning that you do, if the man who is going to execute it is not on the same page with you, if he is not included in your dreams, how is it that you can accomplish over there? He should have the freedom of calling you anytime you feel like. He should have the freedom of walking into your room instead of approaching somebody. Can I see my boss? Can you put in a word to the boss? In fact, say, if you want something, talk to me directly over there. So I feel these two things, what Samie mentioned about being inclusive and handling diversity, very, very important qualities which a conscious leader ought to have. And we all tried our best. We all tried our best. So that is the reason we were able to speak with all of them. And other thing I discovered during my interaction with my people is that it is best to do peacetime interaction. If you are friendly with people during peacetime, in wartime, same people will be very helpful to you. In wartime, if you go and ask them for help, nobody comes to help you over there, or during a crisis over there. So when the minority community organized a huge anti-CI rally with almost 2.5 lakh people, the entire state level machinery was went into panic mode, that and then the right wingers were also up in arms, and then Delhi was also worried that how it going, because we already had examples of the violence which took place in Delhi, violence which took place in Mumbai and various parts of it. Because we had done our homework, because we had an inclusive administration, we could hear everybody, talk to everybody, and people could talk to us. And we had a policy of policing in a diversified atmosphere over there. So we could seek favors when we wanted it, because we were available to them when they wanted us over there. So I feel these two things which Samie mentioned are very, very important in running a very crucial administration. And I'm sure these are same things like what Samie says, that he migrated from the UK to Abu Dhabi, and all wars, all misunderstandings all over the world are as a result of not being friendly during good times. We demand friendship during bad times. So nobody trusts us. In good times, if you are friendly, and if this is clear, if clarity and niceness is here, no, you don't need any brilliant strategy, thinking, or trying to be cunning and all this. Sometimes I'm telling you, I have been very foolish and stupid also over there. My foolishness, stupidity, and ignorance has paid me in the long run. And as a leader, sometimes it is not necessary for you to know everything. Some leaders say that, why have you not kept me informed? I should be informed. I should be informed. I only used to be kept myself informed as much adequately my subordinates used to. If my subordinates feel that my boss should not know this, and I happen to know about it, I used to never question why you did not tell me. Probably he felt it was not necessary, but at the back of my mind, I used to know that, okay, I have not been informed, but I think, okay, I know about this. At an appropriate time, I will not negatively react, but he felt it was his assessment. He may be right, he may be wrong, but there is no point in hounding him that he was wrong over there, because you have to be inclusive once again, looking at the larger picture over there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think we've got some very interesting perspectives from all three of them. Now, before Sameera comes in, Sameera, very quickly, for everybody who's listening in, we've got educationalists, we've got students, we've got people from all walks of life who are listening to this conversation. We're getting some very interesting comments on the message box also. But, this conversation has made me think about certain words all three of them have used. They've used words like diversity, they've used words like inclusion, they've used words like, of course, leadership. If you think of any other words all the three leaders have used, please put it up in the message box, because we want to see how much have you heard, that's more important, and how much have you imbibed. And this is a conversation which is, I think, like gold dust. And sir, on a lighter note, Bhaskar, also on a lighter note, we need friends for all times, not just during war times, and at least for us. And it's always good to know the police. It's always good to know everyone around here. Sameera, over to you.
So Shekhar, what I was really impressed by what Mr. Bhaskar Rao spoke about just now, he was approachable, people could come to him and connect. And for me, leadership is all about empathy. And while we say that, and you also spoke about reaching out to the audiences, we have with us Mr. Valerian D. Almeida. Can we ask him to kindly come on board and join us here for this talk? And we would like to ask a question to Valerian. Leadership is all about empathy, as said by our guest speakers today. It's about having, the ability to relate, connect with people, share with them a greater purpose. It's not just inspiring them, but it's also empowering each and every one of us at different walks in our life. Valerian, I would like to start by, he is also the founder of News Karnataka, the media channel, who is also live streaming our show, apart from the other providers that we have. So, Valerian, how important is it to have to be kind and be compassionate in being a true leader?
Thank you, Sameera, for inviting me to speak on this particular question. Uh, See, people or human being, the best part is he is full of emotions. And I speak from the corporate world because I worked around 40 years in the corporate world. And one thing I always said that without people, nothing can be achieved. So uh, from birth to death, we depend on people. So we alone cannot do anything. I am very much impressed with the Mr. Bhaskar Rao, Commissioner's talk. See, without the people, we cannot achieve, whether it is in corporate world or anywhere else. A person who has money and invested in a business, he cannot run his business unless and until his people cooperate and do the work. So today's world, it is shared leadership. I would like to share with you the present example of Spirit Media, News Karnataka, because for the last 9 years, we have, as shareholders, we have not intervened in the day-to-day operation of the company. We have entirely left it to the people. And today, successfully, it is stepping into the 10th year because of the people who have taken the responsibility. They know what to do, what is to be done, how disciplinary action to be taken within themselves. Each department is running by itself by taking responsibility and contributing for their growth as well as for the growth of the people. I know in late 80s, when I was doing my chartered accountancy articleship, one of the highest or biggest corporate, they said, we take so much importance to maintain all our immovable things, or rather furniture, fixtures, and factory machinery. We maintain it so well, but we forget about the real assets, that is the people. People come to the corporate world for their work on emotions because they have a family. They bring all those emotions to the workplace. So we need to take care, because the biggest problem today in the corporate world is to handle people, because each person is different and we need to take care of their needs, their aspirations, their feeling. So they have a family, they come with this background. So unless and until we empower the people in the workplace, taking into consideration all their emotions, feeling, their background, and making them responsible and sharing with them the what we earn in the corporate world, that
So
is a
true.
success. Yeah,
So
that
true.
is the success
Yeah.
of any corporate world or any home or any government office or any business that we are talking about. So this is the human angle, and this is what the empathy is. To tell you, I have done 3 years counseling. I am a full-time counselor for the EVOSA here in the that is Apostolic Vicariate of Southern Arabia, and I have counseled more than 1,000 people in various fields. The important thing is the empathy, and you have touched on the matter. And empathy is the biggest thing that is lacking in today's corporate world, in today's business, in everywhere. When the empathy is there, when we share what we do our best in the corporate world with the people, I think most of the problems will be over. Thank you.
So thank you, Valerian, for this. And we quickly want to, go through a quick round of activity. So let's do that right now by asking you all, which is one movie that has specifically influenced your life, which you would like others to hopefully view? I would like to start by asking Ian. Ian, over to you.
Sameera, let me just change this a bit if you don't mind.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So this is a question for everybody, and these are all movies I'm sure you've seen in your growing up years. And let's see how much is your movie quotient, because this movies which I'm talking about talks about diversity, talks about inclusion, talks about ambition, talks about leadership in various forms. Sameera, you're also part of it. I'm not giving you the answer, so you got to guess it. Okay. So this is for everybody here, and everybody can also message in the message box. The first one is this is a very interesting quote from the movie. Get busy living or get busy dying. I want to know the name of the movie. This movie was rated as one of the best movies of all time. It had the enigmatic Morgan Freeman. Anyone? Ian, sir?
Sorry,
no idea, Shekhar.
Yeah.
That's a conundrum for me. I'm still trying to figure it out.
It's actually Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, Shawshank Redemption. I saw that long time back. Yeah.
So, but on that Shawshank Redemption note, like Sameera was asking, any movie or any book which has really inspired you?
You're asking me?
Yes.
Okay, I think one of the most inspiring books I have read is this book called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. That's one. Another one is Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. The first one was by Dr. Joseph Murphy. But I think books change our life. If you come to my office, there are books and books and books. And last year I had to give away 5,000 because 5,000 books, I didn't have space in my office. And it looks like I'm going to have a similar problem this year. So yeah, I read a lot. And I think, we're looking at this leadership angle. I just want to say something quickly because I have to leave in a hurry. Earlier it was command and control was the operating factor for leaders. Command and control. I have a two-step formula. I'm going to share that with you before I quit. The first one is to motivate and to collaborate. You motivate people on an individual level and collaborate with them as a group. And I think that's the new first level of guideline for leadership. Motivate and collaborate. The second level of guideline is consolidate whatever you have done and celebrate. And I think celebration is the missing piece of the puzzle. Most of us are not celebrating our victories. Correct. Why is that?
Celebrate the smaller moments.
So I believe consolidate. Once you have achieved something, consolidate it. Make it stronger, make it firmer. Because you don't know what's going to come tomorrow to threaten you. And celebrate. Because when we celebrate, we bring in our higher functions. The endorphins that are produced. It also builds the tribe. And man has become the apex predator because of these kind of things. So this is my closing remarks. And Sameera, I'm going to have to opt out if you don't mind. Motivate, collaborate, consolidate, and celebrate.
Yeah.
And I think
and leadership is a true celebration, and you are a role model for that. Keep it going, keep up the spirit, and we look forward to also reading your new book soon. So hearty congratulations for all that you've been doing.
Thank you for the honor, and so happy to meet up with Samie and Bhaskar also. And Shekhar, always a pleasure to meet you also.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ian, here. And now we would like to ask Mr. Bhaskar Rao, books that you've read, videos that you've seen. Can you share with us something that has influenced your life and that you would like all our viewers to also hopefully read about or see? Over to you.
I read non-fiction.
Okay.
And I have read most of them are autobiographies. At present, I am reading 3 books together. That is the autobiography of Alexander the Great, autobiography of the biography of Genghis Khan, the Barbarian, and the Nelson Mandela. So if all 3 are different, and you are speaking about your favorite movie, okay, I'm not very, very good at, in fact, I must admit that it's an effort for me to follow English movies because my English is not so fast and so well. So 2 movies that have influenced me and made a deep impact on the movie Gandhi, and the movie made on Nelson Mandela. In this, I don't know what
Invictus, sir.
Say that again.
Invictus.
Invictus.
This is about the South African.
Yes.
That's an
These two books have made a great impact on me. And the other at present means I keep an array of books which I keep reading together. Is the story of Singapore, how Lee Kuan Yew developed Singapore from a mosquito-infested, advanced, vibrant commercial capital, and how he dealt with various challenges, how he dealt with China, how he dealt with communists, how he dealt with Tamilians, how he dealt with the trade unions, and how he dealt with their own people, and how with very, very incisive, precise, predictable, trustworthy, transparent leadership. And all this is very, very conscious leadership, because all the time he was taking a step and watching how it is being perceived over there. So leadership is simply not just being a style. You take a step and see how things are around. Then you take more step and see how things are around over there. Is it with the, are the people with you or not? Are they with you or are they not with you over there? So I find these three leaders as very, very ill: Nelson Mandela, Lee Kuan Yew, and Gandhi. And as regards Gandhi is concerned, people have always said that he is a man of absolute peace, he's an absolutely non-violent person. But I have found, reading more and more of Gandhi, that Gandhi was a person who was extremely violent. There could be nobody more violent than Gandhi. And if you take up all the different movements, right from the time he entered the national independence movement till his assassination, all important incidents were sort of mentored by him, whether it is the Chauri Chaura incident, whether it's the Quit India movement, or whether you take the go back to the Crips mission. They're all means some kind of a threat. Means when you conquer fear, you become very, very violent. Gandhi had conquered fear, and as Anne was mentioning, that fear is what stops you from taking everything over there. If fear has gone, you can do anything over there. Means all the time, if you're fearing the consequences, what will people say? What will my wife say? What will my family say? What will the children say? What will my neighbors say? That is all keeps us back over there. So, but on the other hand, doesn't mean that fools rush in while angels fear to tread. That also should not be. Means calculated risks always have to be. And these three leaders have made a very deep impact on my method of working. Of course, I've always been the other books that I read was Richard Green's Power and Mastery, which has come out over there. I'm sure these are all very cliche books, which all of you must have read. And Kautilya's Arthashastra. I think these are give very, very incisive things on governance. And finally, reading a book is different and practicing is different. Means I can't read a book on how to a book on swimming and become a good swimmer over there. You have to take the plunge over there. So books make a very powerful impact. And as Anne mentioned, I also as much as possible do a lot of reading. And most important, as Valerie mentioned, it is a people. If there are no people over there, all your wealth, the capital, knowledge, intelligence is of no use, because as you mentioned rightly, the corporate life is all about handling people over there, knowing their emotional needs and catering to their emotional needs. Then only they give their best over there. One size fits all, or I am always right, toe my line is not going to work over there. Real good corporate leaders has to be an extraordinary HR. Means his HR qualities should have a sixth sense about the chief of HR to see that who can do what over there. Because it is very easy to reject people, but very great challenge to get the best out of demons, rogues, rascals, and jackals and cunning people over there. In fact, they're the people who are full of talent over there. And if you can get them on your side, it is balle balle. Means things can go very well if all these villains can act like your heroes over there. That's what happened.
Thank you, sir.
Wonderful. So very quickly, before we move on to the audience for insights, Samie, in a quick moment, if you can tell us, apart from your book, what should we read or see?
I love that. Well, my career started at Walt Disney World. And since we were talking about rascals and villains, of course, I love Disney movies. And I've just seen the new Cruella. And what I loved about it, apart from the cinematography, was it gives you the empathetic insight into some of the things that made her show up a certain way or be perceived a certain way. There are genius for all of us if we're able to tap into it and understand we're all doing the best we can from our level of consciousness. We're all on a journey. But the other one, of course, is Cinderella. There's a line there where she says, have courage and be kind. And as she's going down the staircase in the movie to meet her prince, she stops for a moment and looks herself in the mirror wearing her rags and says, perhaps the greatest risk of all that we will ever take is to be seen as we truly are. But nonetheless, we invite you to take that risk. We talk about authentic leadership. In my mind, that is it, showing up for who you really are, because we're all doing the best that we can.
Thank you, Samie. Thank you so much. Now, can I get everybody on video mode, please? Everybody, if I've got a very simple activity. We just need you for a couple of minutes. So I think we have heard some very interesting perspectives from all our wonderful leaders. And, I just wanted to ask all of you this very simple quote. This is from a movie. And I want you to tell me what's the name of the movie. But before that, I want to ask the audience, if you have any questions, that is one. If you have anything to share.
Please unmute yourself. We have exactly 1 moment. If there's any one of you who has to share anything, please go ahead. So we are receiving. Sorry, Janet. Janet, we can't hear you.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Janet, the wife of Lawrence Anthony, the accident victim where the Koramangala Egypta flyovers, a hydraulic bolt fell onto my husband when he was riding his scooter at Sony World Junction in December 6, 2019. The BBMB immediately mentioned they would take charge and sort it out. But for years now, it has passed hands. I have been seeking compensation as I'm also without a job and taking care of my husband. It is passing hands from Seamless Infrastructure to BBMB and vice versa. And we have not got any compensation till date. Requesting your guidance, sir.
Janet, thank you for sharing this. We will perhaps, give you the email contact of Mr. Bhaskar Rao, if that's fine.
Please take down my number, 99809.
1 minute, sir.
Janet, please take down my number, 99809 15100. 99809 15100, and send me a WhatsApp on the brief facts of the case. At the very outset, we really empathize with the situation you are in right now, but I will try to do my best what I can. I'll speak to Gaurav Gupta as well as to the concern, whether what best can be done for the situation. Sometimes
thank you, sir.
Bureaucracy is very, very hard. It has no heart. It has only a mind.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Bhaskar Rao, for being with us on the show today. We also have Samie, who's taken time out to be with us. For all of you who are here, we're going to have an activity now. But before we end, just a quick thank you on all of us to very inspiring leaders who have made a big difference in society, but most importantly, been a great role model for us. Shekhar, over to you.
No, I think we can end this. I think we have covered quite a lot about leadership, and
yeah.
I think this covers everybody.
Thank you very much. God bless you all. Thank you.
All the best. Yeah. And for all of you out here, we have a special gift going out to anyone who can talk about traits of leadership. What is needed by the present generation youngsters to take leadership forward? Please go ahead. Unmute yourselves as well. I think Pearl, if I can request you kindly unmute everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, they can unmute themselves.
Yeah. Kindly unmute yourselves, everyone. And thank you for sharing your insights on the chat. Before we conclude, we would like to thank all our supporters, Ecosol Global, Shevins Entertainment, Jagrati, Boopalam Botanicals, Dew Debon, I Am Here, Elephant Marketing, Sunshine Bakers, IJ Enablers, Peppercoin, Cicada Media, Threadworks, and eTransform for being with us on today's show. And special thanks to the Redemptress Media Center, News Karnataka, and everyone for airing this and promoting the good word. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much.
On behalf of all of us here at S Factor, this is Shekhar, Vijayan, and Sameera signing out. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
You,
you.
everyone.
Thank you. It was a good evening.
Thank you.
We had a nice time.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you and keep up your spirits.
Thank
Very
you.
nice meeting you all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good discussion we had. Hope we'll have, even next time we'll have some good discussion like this. Thank you. Bye-bye. Signing off.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.